Comcast. The DreamWorks Moonchild isn't waving goodbye to Shrek permanently in this scene.
Why would they? Shrek has another movie coming out in 2027, provided that DreamWorks can redesign the characters, mainly the anorexic donkey, and not get any more public backlash that would delay the movie again. The Shrek fanbase is harder to please than your college girlfriend.
1 minute to showtime!
This concert will not start for another 2 minutes and 35 seconds, and no one even mentions they're running late.
Dude, have you ever been to a concert? Singers very often show up on stage later than they're supposed to, either because of technical reasons, building up suspense for the audience, or getting mentally prepared for the performance like what Floyd helps Branch with in just a moment.
All right, guys, we're gonna open with Girl Baby Baby and close with Baby Baby Girl. Wait, no, that doesn't sound right.
Not finishing your set list until there's somewhere between 1 minute and 2 minutes and 35 seconds before showtime.
Ignoring the fact that this is played for a joke, I'm counting this as a double sin for you reiterating the time they have before they go on stage.
I remember that I'm with my brothers, and that when we come together, there is nothing that we can't do.
Look, coming together is great, but there are many things that remain undoable no matter how synchronized you are, like using a noodle fork to eat a 3-ton boulder in less than 5 minutes, or swimming to Pluto, or making fun of Taylor Swift publicly and surviving it.
This is why I ended the Trolls 1 video the way that I did. I didn't get a single threatening comment about my roasting of Taylor Swift, among other artists, and I had already done the same for P. Diddy in the Alvin and the Chipmunks video.
The Fun Boy!
The Fun Boy? Is that a f*** boy pun? I swear that's a f*** boy pun. Now I just want a full movie about Clay's exploits off the stage.
Knowing DreamWorks' lowbrow sense of humor, why would that be a sin? And in classic DreamWorks fashion, Clay's fun boy persona gets subverted when we find out later that he's actually pretty boring. So his offstage exploits went about the same as yours did with your college girlfriend.
We're experiencing some stuff.
Thing I was told when my last Southwest Airlines flight was delayed by 5 hours somehow makes it into the script.
Jeremy spouts nonsense that has nothing to do with the movie cliche.
Hey, at least we didn't fall.
Character says it could have been worse, immediately followed by it becoming worse cliche.
I know this is a pretty common cliche in comedy media, so I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy has used it or something similar before. I'll err on the side of caution and not give him a sin here, but in any future instances, if I sin Jeremy for a cliche in one of my videos and he's actually used it before, or brings it up again in a later video, you guys are welcome to correct me and I'll remove a sin the next time. Anyway, I'll just ding the dinger and move on.
Yeah, that's right. Bro going solo. YOLO.
Whoa there, bro. Tossing YOLO to and fro has been an absolute no-no since years ago, you dodo.
Much has been said about my hate for YOLO, and if you think stooping to this movie's level to make a sin out of it is the same thing as sinning YOLO itself, I've got 5 of them for you.
Who the f*** chose this font and color for the title? I can barely read what I'm assuming says barred together. Even yellow Comic Sans would have been better than this.
Jeremy can't read cursive.
Movie doesn't expand on the culinary arts of the charna or the narnar.
Still pretending like you care about this, are you? I guess you hadn't let go of that narnar sin from the first movie's video.
You could say that again.
Well, it only took us 10 minutes to hit our first glitter vomit. And if I'm being honest, I'm surprised we didn't have it by minute 3 or 4. That's some nice restraint, movie. I'd love to not sin you, but unfortunately, I do not have any of that.
Oh, like you were specifically expecting this. Knowing how much you dislike this kind of humor, you'd sin it whenever. So don't try to pad the length of this sin by saying that having it as late as now is better than having it sooner.
We find out here in a second that Bridget's balloon dress is one pop away from completely disintegrating, which makes this the dumbest way to enter your wedding since my college roommate played Bon Jovi's You Give Love a Bad Name for his fiance's entrance.
This is one of those sins where CinemaSins likes to introduce a point only to diverge from it and spout nonsense that has nothing to do with the movie. Cliché. Thus padding the video's runtime. And the point he led with his moot anyway because there's nothing sharp enough to pop this balloon dress on Bridget's way down.
Drama. Corn me, Dinkles.
Asking Dinkles to corn you.
Sinning Mr. Dinkles. Just for that, I'm going to use his meep as the dinger for this sin.
It wasn't until I heard about you saving the world from the rock apocalypse that I realized you were even still alive.
Wait, you thought your baby brother was dead? Dead? And you just went on with your life? Why would you assume your younger brother was dead?
He didn't. John Dory was probably hoping that Branch was still alive, but that doesn't mean that he thought his brother was dead. The reason he wasn't sure was because at the time Brozone parted ways, Pop Village was still living in the troll tree at the center of Bergen Town. So until now, John Dory had no way of knowing if Branch had been eaten by a Bergen.
I hadn't heard from him since the band broke up.
So did you also assume Floyd was dead?
I'm gonna count this as a double sin too, and you all know what that's worth. Oh yeah, and Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
The bottle is made of diamond, And there's only one thing that's powerful enough to shatter diamond.
But the whole thing isn't made of diamond, right? It looks like a section is made of gold, and there's a small entry point for the tube. I know you want to get back to Chekhov's perfect family harmony, but I really think you have a few more options here to explore.
Except, as we see at the end of this movie, the caps on these bottles are made of diamond too, and the openings are too small for the trolls to get out through anyway. So the real sin is that they shouldn't have been able to fit in the first place.
You don't get it. You don't have any siblings.
Thinking someone can't understand something they don't have personal experience with.
Oh, typical lying, manipulative CinemaSins. Here's the dialogue they don't want you to hear.
It's not that easy, okay? You don't get it. You don't have any siblings.
That's my point! Branch, you are so lucky to have a brother to fight for. I mean, if I had a sister, it would be so perfect.
Meet Rhonda, y'all. Ain't she a beaut?
No, she looks like AI tried to make a copy of the cat bus from My Neighbor Totoro.
Pronouncing Totoro as Totoro.
This whole plot could be a metaphor for subjugating another race and then co-opting their culture and talent to profit off of. I'm not sure this movie has the slightest ability to handle that depth, or even the intention to do so.
So you picked up on the subtext of this scene and are asking it to be the plot? What would that accomplish that this already not-so-subtle analogy doesn't? If it were, it would distract from the film's theme of family, which is why the plot is about Branch reuniting with his brothers, not exposing a flaw in the entertainment industry. That's only a side effect of the protagonists accomplishing the main task.
We obviously can't rely on this troll to get us through this dress rehearsal.
I was going to make some crack about why you're bothering to rehearse at all if you just steal talent from another person. I realize the greater sin is this pair of fakers practiced more than the boy band who needed to hit their perfect family harmony. These musicians are dumb.
In the interview scene right before this, it was shown that Velvet and Veneer were keeping it a secret that they've been stealing talent from Brozone, something that gets revealed to all of Mount Regis at the end of the movie. It would be suspicious of them not to go through the practice of rehearsing, and to make it look even more convincing to everyone else involved, they have to rehearse while using Brozone's talent.
And I'm on a man-sized rite of passage.
My man-sized rite of passage mostly involved my older friends tricking me into stripping, hitting the hornet's nest in the backyard with a hockey stick, and seeing how many stings I could endure before I cried. For the record, it was one. Hornets.
Literally, no one asked or needed to know that.
So is no one going to talk about why this tiny, extendable driver's wheel is built into this vehicle that is also apparently the insides of a sentient transportation pet of some sort? Are the insides part of its bone structure like a turtle? What does it eat? Human food? Oil? The nightmares of children?
I would assume that however this creature came into being, whether it be evolution by natural selection or creation by some unknown entity, the possibility of small drivers was an adaptation that proved to be useful enough to have. And if you're still confused about this thing, I'll remind you that this is the third Trolls film set in a world where many of the non-humanoid creatures function as vehicles or objects, like DJ Suki's Wooferbug from the first film and the hot air balloon from World Tour. Also, you yelled at the screen in this sin, but your subtitles weren't in all caps, or at the very least, have an exclamation point to accompany your question mark.
Oh, the wedding wasn't just an excuse to shoehorn these characters in for a single scene? We're actually going to shoehorn them into the rest of the movie as well? Character bloat, thy name is animated sequels.
The wedding wasn't the main reason for the movie including Bridget and Gristle. They are later shown to help Viva overcome her fear of Bergens, and Poppy grows to see Bridget like a sister after meeting her own.
Hey guys, looks like I found some fellow rock climbers.
You are not rock climbing, you are pastel macaroni climbing.
Dude, these are pool noodles. And they function like climbing rocks because everything on this island is beach vacation themed.
Having this much poof in your hair after you've been out surfing.
On Orbeez, not fully liquid water.
No tossing, okay? Too big to be tossed.
You are not too big, as evidenced by this sentence being immediately preceded by a successful tossing.
Another semantic sin, you know he meant that he's too old, not that he couldn't physically be tossed.
Killer nachos you got here, by the way.
Those are not nachos. Those are shards of stained glass, and you know it.
I don't think Jeremy gets that food in this world can look like inedible objects because this is literally a toy-based movie. I mean, the beings eating these nachos are Muppets who share a world with creatures based on the Betty Spaghetti dolls and the Thomas Dam Troll dolls.
This is my wife and business partner, Brandy. She is my soulmate, my very tall soulmate. But we make it work.
Scene does not contain diagrams and or visual proof of how these two make it work.
And knowing you, Jeremy, you don't deserve to know.
All right, fine. But this is more than likely beneath me.
What Anna Kendrick muttered while agreeing to do a third one of these things somehow makes its way into the script.
Across the board, everybody seems to feel like, oh, this is the best job I've ever had. Brozone, where'd they bro? I don't know. We're gonna find them! No joke, I'm like, this is my favorite job.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Jeremy? Because it sounded like you were putting words in other people's mouths again. This is one of the worst things you can do as a film reviewer. Deny the passion of the filmmakers.
Don't make that noise, please. I don't need to have thoughts about troll sex. And there goes my brain. Melted marshmallow-coated gumdrops.
I'm giving you 1 sin for singing Anna Kendrick's Love Growl, and another 10 for the absolute hypocrisy of claiming to be disgusted by the thought of troll sex after wanting to see a diagram of Bruce and Brandy making it work.
The movie is now having a sentient pile of old-school Amazon packing fillers sing Dolly Parton's 9 to 5, and you're expecting me to not sin this?
For the opportunity to acknowledge what is happening on the screen? Nope, none of us were expecting that.
I had an idea.
Crimp has invented a wearable, transportable prison device that sucks the life out of its inhabitants in real time. And if she isn't tried for war crimes by the end of this movie, I'm calling for a congressional hearing.
Yes, but Crimp wasn't doing it intentionally. She says before this in a clip you cut out that she had made it because Velvet asked her for a device that would make her smoothies on stage.
You said you needed a way to make your smoothies even fruitier on stage?
You did?
Yes, that is what I want. Go on.
Well, I had an idea.
Also, I'm well aware that the movie will try to make it sound like she thought she invented it for fruit, but the fact that the openings are perfectly designed for the existing diamond prison to be inserted says otherwise. So don't you claim that smoothie ignorance. You knew what was happening, or it wouldn't have worked, and history will judge you for it.
The only one claiming ignorance is you. This sin proves that you saw the clip that I showed, but decided not to include it in your video. And you're accusing Crimp of something she didn't want to happen, as shown in another clip that you cut out.
You said that it was for smoothies.
It's called lying, Primp. Deal with me.
If you use too much, you'll kill him? The plum that I tested turned into a prune!
What most likely happened was that Velvet provided Crimp with the design specifications to make this device, explaining why it can fit the diamond bottles.
So, how was school today?
Stop attacking me!
Kids.
Jeremy expresses his disdain for kids cliche.
We're a total veneer household.
They're the ones who have Floyd.
It's gonna be hard to separate the art from the artist.
This f***ing laugh.
Thunder drawers.
Sentient stench ghosts.
Pointing things out on the screen cliche.
Oh my gosh, hello!
And this will turn out to be Poppy's long-lost sister that no one was even looking for because of course it is.
Sinning Viva. I don't care if she's the most shoehorned sibling character since Jacob Toretto in F9. Viva is in the top 3 best characters in the Trolls franchise.
Papa Trolls, lights on for our new friends.
This is a terrible mini golf course. Are you supposed to chip the ball up into this intestine-looking hot dog on hole 2? And even if you somehow get it in there, there is 0 space for you to putt near this hole. And 17 looks way too easy and has a random lighthouse.
I'll spare you the rest of this sin and the next 2 because they're just Jeremy pointing out and nitpicking this mini golf course. I'll just give him 3 sins and move on.
I've always dreamt of having a sister. I was just saying this. Wasn't I just saying this?
Yes, you were. And in the real world, we would call that a coincidence. But in a movie, we just call it forced foreshadowing or forced shadowing for short.
I mean, it was kind of necessary in this case. Not only because it's an animated movie for children, it also gives Poppy a purpose in the narrative. Poppy's connection to Viva ties into the movie's theme of family and gives her a reason to grow as a character so that she's not just tagging along to help Branch find his brothers just because she's his girlfriend.
This very misshapen and unfair die.
Pointing things out on the screen cliche.
They were this close to getting eaten until Viva and some of the other trolls fought them off.
Was fighting them off an option? I feel like what little I remember from the first Trolls movie, and I'll grant you it's not much, didn't imply any of the trolls were capable of fighting back against the Bergens. But now you're telling me some did? I call bullshit. You just wanted a way to introduce Poppy's sister, and I see through your lies.
I will grant you that this was a half-assed way to introduce Viva, since the first film obviously wasn't made with her in mind. But it doesn't contradict anything on its own. And as vulnerable as they are, trolls can still fight back against creatures larger than themselves, as we saw in the first film, like when Branch fought the spiders, and when the Snack Pack defended themselves from Bridget.
Viva found this old, abandoned Bergen golf course and transformed it into this troll utopia.
You know, instead of searching for her family at all. And we're also intercutting to King Peppy trying to justify never looking for his daughter. This movie is full of all kinds of quitters.
Note that CinemaSins never gives us the movie's audio when showing Peppy and making their claim that he never looked for Viva. You know what that means. Here's exactly what Peppy says.
I kept screaming, "No troll left behind!" But when I went back in, the tunnels had collapsed. That's when I found Viva's Hug Time bracelet.
So he did go back into the tunnels to look for Viva, which is how he got her Hug Time bracelet, with the implication from an earlier scene that he gave it to Poppy. The real sin is that this is obviously a retcon because in the first film, Peppy orders the trolls to move out immediately after they leave the tunnels. He never went back in according to that film.
There's no way Viva's gonna let her go.
What? What are you talking about?
Like I said, she's got some stuff going on, man.
Reducing false imprisonment to some stuff going on.
For reasons I'll be explaining in the next sin, false imprisonment does not even begin to describe the stuff going on with Viva.
I know you think it's risky, and maybe it is, but it'll be worth it. Family's always worth it.
Hear me clearly. No. Family is not always worth it. All relationships are hard, and many are worth sacrificing and fighting for, but some are so toxic that separation is the healthiest option, and that includes family. So no, Poppy, family isn't always worth it, and anyone who needs to get off that guilt bus has complete permission to exit at the next stop.
I was very close to removing a sin for this because this hit me hard, for reasons I won't go into. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be teaching kids the right lesson. You sinned Viva, and Peppy, for being a quitter, but maybe that's just part of her character and what the filmmakers wanted to show as the wrong position in order to get the message across to kids. From Viva's perspective, she lives in a world with so much danger that she'd rather keep her only sister, who she just found out was still alive, with her by force, than go with her to an unfamiliar place where they could be killed. With her biggest fear being Bergens, who she doesn't believe have changed. Viva's behavior is toxic, and her trauma from the Great Bergen attack made her want to quit. But the movie does attempt to make the audience have sympathy for her by showing the fun times that she and Poppy had, and her deciding to let Poppy go as much as it pains her.
Well, don't just stand there. Go get him.
Why does it have to be me?
Because Crimp's locked in the closet. Now go!
If you're going to have a villain be this one-dimensional and evil, the least you could do is let her grow a mustache to twirl.
That's the point. Velvet, and to a lesser extent Veneer, are meant to be obstacles that aren't supposed to be well developed. Veneer does get some of that, but Velvet is shown to have no redeeming qualities. But that doesn't make the movie bad because the development of the protagonists is still achieved without her influence. Besides, it's entertaining to watch her be a full-on bitch who gets what's coming to her at the end.
I'm the oldest. I had to be the leader.
U.S. presidential elections.
There are funnier things that could have been said instead of this, but I'm not going to elaborate because I like to keep politics off my channel. And religion. Mostly.
Don't be a baby, Branch.
Telling someone not to be a baby after dressing him in a diaper for your rehearsal.
Dude, I think that was the joke.
This is Branch's bunker. He built this for you guys.
I didn't know.
I guess you never asked.
About the bunker he had no idea existed? About the revelation that just surprised you as well? Yeah, somehow he never thought to ask, asshole.
John Dory's response in this scene could potentially imply that he was made aware of the bunker in concept by Branch prior to Brozone's breakup. Much like how Floyd was made aware right before it happened. Poppy already knew about the bunker, but not that Branch had built it for his brothers. She and the members of Brozone each had one half of the information, which is why this revelation surprised all of them.
I have been by your side from the moment we...
Skip!
Jeremy skips relevant/emotional moments cliche.
Chrissy, I didn't think we'd both find ourselves tied up on this honeymoon.
Sexist ideas of gender-normative roleplay. The children watching this movie need to learn earlier that anyone can click the sub button.
Jeremy, I'm pretty sure this was a joke meant for the adults, not a lesson for the children. Also knowing these two, Gristle was definitely the one tied up.
After that, we need to cut the power so we can move freely through the interior air ducts.
Won't cutting the power alert anyone using said power that you might be up to something? This is a terrible plan.
Assuming that people who want to antagonize you are the only reason power outages happen. In other words, Jeremy doesn't know that squirrels like to chew on electrical wires. Also, wait, what was that?
Might be up to something? This is a terrible plan.
One more time.
This is a terrible plan.
This is?
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Poppy and Branch are trapped here down by the bottle, but in the next shot, they somehow throw the stretchy hands with perfect aim straight up 50 feet up through the vent to ascend, and I'd just like to say that cartoons sure do get away with a lot of bullshit.
Which is why it's a cartoon. And your complaint is even more unfounded when you consider that this is a fantasy world with very little resemblance to Earth. So you have nothing to base what should be correct physics in this world on.
Let's go autograph some butts.
Is a thing that is said in this movie.
Jeremy acknowledges what is said in the movie cliche.
Wait!
Deus ex vivina.
Pre-established thing / character, blah blah blah. Jeremy misuses Deus ex machina when something happens suddenly cliche.
You're Poppy's sister? That makes us best friends too.
It does not.
It does in the culture of these pop trolls. They're so positive that they live by the mentality of, any friend of yours is a friend of mine. Ironically, Bridget, a Bergen, adopted this mentality and had to convince Viva, even though Bergens were formerly enemies of the trolls. It's part of what makes this scene so impactful.
Okay, we need to leave right now.
Running after you've been accused of a crime. Do you want Tommy Lee Jones to chase you? Because that's how you get Tommy Lee Jones to chase you. And then you have to jump out of a sewer. It's a whole thing.
Jeremy makes an unwarranted reference to popular culture cliche.
Not only are they stealing talent from Brozone, now they're stealing my Rainbow Road strategy from Mario Kart 64, you bastards.
Dude, it wasn't your strategy. The Rainbow Road shortcut has been known in gaming culture for decades. Hell, it was even referenced in the Super Mario Bros. Movie 7 months before this movie came out.
Locating an accelerator button on the roof of your vehicle where anyone that's dancing up there could just accidentally step on it.
Locating? You mean placing. And considering how adept they are at dancing, thanks to that rehearsing you send them for, they would have known how not to step on this button until they needed to do so.
Tiny, give me the thing. Oh, that's good.
Driving while under the ringfluence. Yeah, who needs lots of sex when you can ride a motorcycle off the road and toss an RV mealworm toward a boat so that it can puke up your friends as you then drown in tapioca balls?
But they didn't drown, as we find out later, so they're still going to be having a lot of sex. Oh yeah, and Jeremy acknowledges what is happening on the screen cliche.
I can't play the music for you, but trust me when I say that the final line that breaks this diamond is sung in unison, not harmony. Maybe it's some sort of metaphor about unity, but your metaphor, I was promised diamond-shattering harmonies, you bastards.
By definition, being harmonious does require singing in unison. Brozone still needed to hit the right combination of notes to sound pleasant.
Come on, man, wake up.
Movie thinks I'm invested enough in these characters to believe it has the guts to kill one of them. See, you couldn't even commit 60 seconds to the possibility that Floyd was dead. Even Shazam 2 kept its character death going on longer than that.
These are a double sin on account of you knowing that Floyd doesn't die here. And sure, it was predictable that he'd survive, but the characters still needed to complete their arc of learning to be a family again.
Branch, I'm sorry we didn't get to see you grow up, but I'm excited to get to hang out with you now.
Only one of Branch's brothers apologized for abandoning him.
How do you know John Dory and Bruce didn't apologize to Branch off-screen? Clay could have just been the last one to do so.
Now get up here and sing with us.
Viva, get up here! We're in the band!
We? Lover Troll did not invite Viva. Way to make it weird, Poppy.
I mean, is Branch in any position to tell Poppy no? She is the sovereign leader of the Pop Trolls and his girlfriend. If Branch didn't let Viva join the band, he ain't getting any...
The only thing powerful enough to free him is the perfect family harmony.
Okay, either they just made that up, or I have not been paying attention.